Today I want to discuss with you a gaming stock, particularly Activision Blizzard, ticker symbol ATVI. And this stock has been beaten down incredibly hard, over 53% over just the last few months. But the reason I want to make this video is because I do believe that we may have found a bottom here in this stock, and we may be headed higher in the near future. A lot of you have been asking me to do a video on gaming stocks because this industry really has been taking a hit over the last few months. And I thought that I'll do a video on my favorite pick here, which is Activision Blizzard. Now I did do this video in two separate recordings, so I'm going to hand it over to myself here to cover Activision Blizzard. So Activision Blizzard has actually caught my attention over the last couple of months or so, and currently sitting near 50% from what its all-time high was just a few months ago. It really does warrant me to spend some time looking into the company more. If you're not familiar with the company, at a very high level nutshell here, Activision Blizzard is a gaming company, and they're broken down to three different segments, first being Activision, second being Blizzard, and third being King Digital. And looking at the breakdown here from their Q4 results, you can see that Activision actually brings in the majority of their revenue thanks to the Call of Duty title. Blizzard brings titles like Overwatch and World of Warcraft, and King Digital, of course, associated with the well-known Candy Crush Saga franchise. All three segments, in my opinion, have a place in the market, and I love how they have exposure to gaming consoles and PCs as well as mobile devices. Now, if you're sitting on the sidelines here, it's the first time you're hearing about the stock, you're definitely wondering why in the world did the stock drop from over $80 per share just a few months ago all the way down to the mid $40 per share. There must be a good reason behind this, and there must be a reason why investors decide to sell off the stock. Well, this year-over-year comparison right here gives us a better idea. Sales and earnings are expected to be down across the board year-over-year. Q1 2019 looks to be the worst, with an expected drop in EPS of 34% year-over-year. And at first glance, this looks horrible, but let's take a few things into consideration here. Last year, Activision Blizzard released Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and this was the most anticipated game from the company in years. The Call of Duty franchise is something that has propelled Activision Blizzard to becoming a top-class gaming company, and rightly so. It's a very successful franchise in the gaming world and makes the company a lot of money. Well, great, this was awesome, incredible news for 2018, but now that we're in 2019, there isn't any major title scheduled to be released this year, which is why there's not as much hype and expectation around the company this year. And thus is why analysts are predicting a drop in EPS and even in growth this year in 2019 compared to last year. The second thing we need to really consider with a company like Activision Blizzard or any other gaming stock company is that games can be very seasonal. During the holiday months, gaming companies thrive as people go out there and buy games for their kids, for their friends, for themselves, and as a result, they usually hit their peak or all-time sales and even break records in these holiday season months. This usually translates to Q4 for most companies. Now, when you look at Q1, which is a reset and kind of a new year, January, February, March, this is typically the slowest time of year, especially for gaming companies, because it takes a very long time to develop these games, and after they've released it for that holiday rush, there's kind of a slowdown period where people who want to buy the game already bought the game in the holiday season during sales that all these companies like Amazon and such have. And now there's just kind of people out there who are casually picking up this game who just came across it recently. The hardcore gamers and the ones that are really into gaming most likely have already tried out the game. So really in this case, Activision Blizzard can't solely rely on Call of Duty to propel them through 2019 as well. They did rely on it for 2018, but 2019 is already showing that it's going to be a tougher year for them because there isn't really any new scheduled title to be released this year. And even if you look at the company's earnings in the last few years, you can see that quarter-over-quarter they continue to beat, but in Q3 2018, they actually had their first miss on revenue in years. And that's when fear started to really set into the market for this stock, and the stock started selling off on concerns over them not being relevant anymore. This, of course, coupled with the job cuts that they announced recently, laying off around 8% of the overall staff, is also pretty significant and also kind of fed into the fear where this company is struggling, they're not relevant anymore, they might not survive for very long, and as a result, a lot of novice investors bought into this and sold off their shares. So now the question is, why is this a good stock to look at right now? Well, what I'll really say is that you have to see that 2019 is going to be a transition year for the company. For example, the job cuts that they announced is not them really struggling necessarily, it's them focusing on things that actually work. So they have a few titles like we went through that are world renowned and people actually wait for new releases for, and this is where they want to spend most of their time and efforts into to make those outstanding games. They don't want to spread themselves thin, make tons of different games that are only mediocre, and ruin their reputation as a brand as a result. So that is something that the company has openly chosen to do, and that's something that's going to result in job cuts. Another big catalyst is Call of Duty Mobile that's scheduled to come out sometime this summer. And I think this will actually send the stock back on an upward trend personally, but that's just my guess here. And really, following the amount of success that Fortnite has had, there's a lot of positivity around this release, and it should help bring Activision Blizzard back to growth year over year, in my opinion. And if this does happen, this would really squash concerns that the company is becoming irrelevant and can't grow anymore. The mobile gaming market, for example, is a huge opportunity. Morgan Stanley even noted here that $500 million in mobile revenue could increase the company's estimated 2020 earnings per share by 9%. And usually when we look at companies that have been beaten down like this, we want to see some major catalyst out there which could propel the stock back towards its all-time highs. And personally, some may not agree with me here, but I think that mobile gaming is the next logical step here for Activision Blizzard. You know, you have things like esports really picking up, virtual reality really picking up. All of these things are major drivers for gaming in the future. And as a game developer like Activision Blizzard, I think they're well positioned to take advantage of all of these different opportunities out there. And currently, with the stock trading under $50 per share and a PE of around 20, it's very hard to argue that there isn't some value here in the stock. Oh, and they also pay out a dividend, which, although is not that large right now, is still something, and they are committed to growing that year over year as well. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Remember that Activision Blizzard does report their earnings on May 2nd, so it is pretty close, and we may see some pretty good recovery in the stock if they post strong numbers. Let me know in the comment section down below if you're interested in Activision Blizzard or if you have another stock in the gaming industry that is your favorite. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.